Are you serious about your walk with Christ? Baltimore's Christian author Stephanie Solomon has written disciple-centric books that will equip, encourage, and empower the child of God. Each book is a viable tool for Christian growth. Purchase your copies today wherever books are sold. Available electronically as well as hard copy. For more information, visit www.stephaniebooks.com. That's www.stephaniebooks.com.
Welcome to Winning Ways. I am your host, Stephanie Solomon. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your time with me this evening. Well, if you're new to the Winning Ways podcast, I've been doing this since 2010, basically all audio style. And recently I've moved over to the YouTube platform. All right. And I'm trying to grow that community. So if you would kindly hit subscribe, like, share as you've engaged in this broadcast, I would be so very grateful. I'm an author, by the way, a life coach. And basically what I do, I have guests on occasionally that relate to the type of topics that I advocate. But I basically teach from the topics of my books. And so tonight I'm coming from my third book. And the third book is Aging with Grace. All right. And I'm coming from the chapter which is inspiring this episode, Winning Women. And there's a segment of that chapter called In It to Win It. And how was I re-inspired? Well, I was re-inspired by the whole winning concept. You know, as Christians, and this is a Christian-based podcast, as Christians, we are promised and assured victories through our life as we live according to the will and way and word of God. And so that whole piece of winning, and this podcast entitled Winning, I love to see people win in life. I really do. I love Combat Kids. I love to see people just accomplishing greatness, especially in the face of defeat and opposition and all type of antagonism. And I just love to see people get the victory when they're doing the right thing, because, you know, we could win it doing wrong. We don't want to go there, but I like to see people win when they are living right. All right. Is that always easy? Absolutely not. But I heard a quote recited not too long ago that made me go back and reread something that I wrote. And the quote is from Vince Lombardi. And he says, winners never quit, quitters never win. And I think many of you have heard that. And as a former educator, retired teacher, that was one of the things I used to say all the time, you know. But then, you know, we grow, and sometimes some things we can discuss, you know, we can maybe say, maybe is that all the time? You know, do people, can winners quit? You know, and am I a winner if I quit at something? Let's talk about it. So text me, you know, send some comments after the show. You know, I didn't put the comments on this time. But yeah, can we win if we quit? Is that considered winning if we quit? Quit what? You know, I do believe that some things in life we should quit. Now, when Vince Lombardi said that in context, that's applicable to athletes in sports. It's applicable to business-minded people. I think it's applicable to anyone who is pursuing something, whether it's grad school, any great pursuit, you know, that requires hard work. Mental work, physical work. I do believe that you ought to put your best in. I do believe, however, sometimes as humans, we engage in things that are not meant for us. We engage in things that are not good for us, and we need to quit. And we're not losers if we quit things that are not good for us. things that crush our soul, you know, as Beyonce said, break my soul. You know, there are things that are just not good for us, things that are not ordained by God for us, you know, things that no longer serve us, you know, things that persuade us to lose ourselves, betray ourselves, you know, abandon ourselves. Not good for us. So I believe that there are times that we do need to quit something. Is that always easy to do? Not always, not always. And so tonight, I just want to encourage someone who is struggling with the idea of quitting, because maybe in your culture, in your world, your family, your job environment, your school culture, there is such a negative tag placed on quitting. When the truth is, there are some things we need to quit if we want what's called the best life. If we want to see ourselves grow and become that better version of us, there are some things we're going to have to quit. We're going to have to quit stinky thinking, you know, or stinking thinking, as some people say. We're going to have to quit that sinful mindset, let it go, heart issues that get in the way of our positive thinking, proper thinking. We're going to have to quit those warped ways of thinking, quit habits that contribute to an unhealthy lifestyle, whether it's how we talk to people, talk to ourselves, how we eat, whatever. There are so many things that are just not good for us that many of us have accommodated, that we've made a part of our lives, and we know that they're not good for us. But for some reason, we find it difficult to let go. Maybe we don't want to be alone. Maybe we are afraid of loneliness. Maybe we're afraid of what people will say. Maybe we're afraid of the whole newness, being in environments and spaces, as I've talked about before, being in places and spaces with people who don't act like us, talk like us, think like us, and we're not used to that, and that's scary. It's really scary. So whatever the reasons are, but I believe that through Christ, we can do all things that strengthens us. And it strengthens us to be the best version of ourselves there is. And there's another side, another part of us that's better. It's a better version of us that exists. How many people live to see that? Wow. I would hope many than less. But let me just give you just some little notes that I took as I pondered, thought about this whole quitting piece. You know, in my own life, I've had to quit some things. And I have to admit, it didn't feel good. I remember what I was told once when I quit a particular school to transfer to another school, and what was told to me about quitting. But I knew that if I wanted to go back, I could. But if I went back, I wanted to be a better version. I wanted to be prepared. I was not prepared for that environment, and I wanted to do what it took to be prepared. And I just remember how I felt when a person who I told and thought would support my efforts actually downed me as a person, because it wasn't like I was quitting college. I was quitting a certain track that I was on. But make a long story short, that stayed with me for a while, but I also knew that I had to get past that, because it didn't make me less of a person because I didn't finish a track that I started that wasn't meant for me. And that is, and that was, oh my God, I must have been 18. Like I was 18 when that happened. And after that, I've been asked to be on committees and be a part of this group, that group, or what have you. And I'm telling you, I've given in to saying yes to things that I should have said no to. And I'm telling you, it is a miserable feeling to be a part of something that your heart isn't in, your passion isn't in, and it because you didn't want to say no and you just wanted to please people. Awful, awful. awful feeling. But I've learned to say no. I've learned to set up boundaries, not to explain myself, or apologize and move forward. That took years of getting to, though. And I see it in other people, and I recognize it when I see it most times. But it takes courage. And so I just want to just hit on some things to help someone today who's dealing with what they should quit, whatever it is. There are some things to consider. Consider this: quitting something that crushes your soul. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. Nothing should crush it. If you know anything about me on here, you know that I'm into soul care. The soul, not the self. I mean, I'm into self-care. Yes. That's the total us, the total package. But the part of self called the soul, I like to really focus in on and hone in on. That's why I'm an advocate for mental health, because the soul deals with mindsets. The soul deals with heart issues. The soul deals with trauma, drama, memories, feelings, emotions, those things. So I'm really into doing things to care for that aspect of us. Mary J. Blige says in one of her songs, I think it's Good Morning Gorgeous, and she says, I wasn't always careful with me. I wasn't always good to me. That's about soul care. And I am telling you, many of us do things and allow people to do things to us that crush our soul. We do things that don't serve us for a myriad of reasons. Not good for us. All right. We stay in places longer than we should. We go places where we shouldn't. We do things that are just not ordained by God for us. Any of us. We need to quit. And it doesn't make us a bad person, a scary person, a weak person. It makes us a strong person and a wise person. But when people around us try to belittle us and make us feel less than because we quit something, because we are self-aware, we know ourselves, we step back and reflect. I don't want to get ahead of myself on this, but we know ourselves enough to say, oh, this is not for me, at least maybe not now. That's a strong person, a wise person, a person who has discovered something about himself or herself and cares and loves themselves enough not to torture themselves, not to put themselves in spaces and places that just aren't healthy for them. Most times we think that quitting is easy, but quitting takes courage. It really does. Especially when we've invested money, time, emotion, and energy into a thing or a person. So it's one thing to be self-aware, to sit back and self-reflect and know that we need to do something about this matter. We need to let this go. We need to stop this thing. We need to quit, walk away. That's one thing in the head to acknowledge. The other thing is to do something about it. And this is where many people fall short, because to do something about it, they're thinking about their losses. They're thinking about money that may have been lost. They're thinking about friendships or relationships that will be lost. They're thinking about memories that were made, and they're thinking about status that has been accomplished. And possessions that have been accumulated, and because our value sometimes our value is in the wrong thing, we allow ourselves to be in places and spaces that do not serve us. So it takes courage to walk away. It takes courage to say no. It takes courage to say, no, we're not doing that. Stop. I'm out. I quit. And not with an attitude, but with an acknowledgement of self-love and self-care means so much more than hanging in a place where we are not being blessed and certainly not being a blessing. All right. That's really soul care. When we're taking care of us, that's what we're doing. Taking care of us. We can't take care of people properly if we don't take care of us properly. The Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. How can we love other people the way that they should be loved, not the way they even think they need to be loved, but the way they should be loved. And that's a whole nother broadcast of what love looks like and what love is. But how can we do that for them, whether it's children, immediate family, extended family, your neighbor, a stranger, whoever, a spouse? How can we do that if we don't love ourselves? And oftentimes if we really have the courage to look inwardly, to have introspection, which a lot of people don't want to do because it requires transparency and vulnerability. If we really did look inside, we will see that we really have not taken care of us. We haven't loved ourselves the way we should be loved. So it takes courage, a lot of courage. So we need to have courage to quit. My thing too is knowing when to quit. So it takes courage to do it, but when to do it, how to do it, takes wisdom. And oftentimes in our either excitement about discovering that we need to quit something, whatever it is, sometimes we don't put in enough thought to have a plan put together, a strategy of some sort. We don't gather enough information. And in our excitement and our zeal, we move forward without information, without facts, without wisdom and guidance. So we need wisdom. We really do, because timing is important. Yes, timing is important. All right. Faith also. But we need wisdom definitely when we decide we want out. Okay, here's another quick one. It's going to be real quick tonight. The other one is a good quit is indicative of self-reflection, self-awareness, self-correction, and a sense of agency. So the fact that I said a good quit means, as I mentioned earlier, there are some things that, it's a bad quit, obviously. Some things we shouldn't quit. There are some things we should stick to because the outcome is good for me. The process is good for me. All right. It's leading somewhere that's good for me and good for others. All right. It's a good quit. All right. Now, a good quit indicates that I have looked inside, I have introspection, I have reflection, I've reflected, I'm aware, I've even corrected myself. I take accountability, I take ownership of me. And I realized I made a mistake with this. I've done that. Like I said, I've been on committees, sat there miserable, said yes because I didn't want to. I liked the person who asked me out. And I had to admit at that stage in my life, I liked the fact that that particular person who I admired thought well enough of me to be on this committee, and they trusted me doing this. They trusted me in leading this committee or being a part of it. And that I needed that. Something inside of me needed that. So I've learned to own up to that. Oh my God, I was dealing with my insecurities. I was not at peace with being selected for that, but I took it so that I wouldn't have all this, backlash. I'm not there anymore, and I thank God I've outgrown that. But let's look here. When we've put in the work and we have paid our dues, so to speak, we understand that it comes to a point that we are mature enough to say, no, and this is not working. We can even start over. Quitting doesn't mean that I've given up on life. It should mean that I've stopped this particular aspect, and I'm moving on into another route for me. All right. Here's another thing that I came up with, especially when we think about mental health, and this is Mental Health Awareness Month, we need to think about the condition of our mental state. Why would I hold on to something that I know is not good for me? Why would I want to retain something that's not good for me? What is that all about? So when we answer those questions, we realize that quitting is an option. And it actually is a pretty good option. I think I've hit all the points that I wanted to make. Yeah, I think I did. Yep, I think I did. I sure did. And so I just want to share with someone tonight that you can move wisely and courageously in your decision to quit that thing that you've been contemplating, whatever it is, and you will be okay. I'm not in a position to make promises to anyone, but I can tell you from my own experiences and from experiences of people who I admire, and I've watched aspects of their life unfold before me, that when you make that conscious, mature decision to quit something, it opens up a part of you that, excuse me, guys, you wouldn't believe this. My microphone was on recording what I was saying on my notes. Okay, that was a distraction. But I just want to encourage you that you are not a weak person. You're not a loser. You're nothing negative because you've decided to do what's best for you. Maybe it's time to quit that job. Maybe it was time to quit a while ago, and you just didn't have the courage to do it. A fear for whatever. It requires faith too, but doing what's best for you is never a wrong thing. Think God loves you and God loves me, and love does not go around hurting oneself and others. Love, and sometimes we on this guilt trip that we have to do for other people first, and no. Love yourself so that you can, rightfully do for others. All right. Quitting is not a bad thing, and you can still win at life if you quit something. So winners can quit. Yep. And I believe people who quit something or some things that are not healthy for them mentally, emotionally, or physically, spiritually, are winners. Winners know when to quit. Winners know how to quit. Winners know that they need to quit some things. All right. So don't labor yourself with that for too long. All right. You will be just fine. It is okay to quit, and you're not losing your personhood and your place in the kingdom because you decided to quit something. And maybe you don't like that word quit. Okay. Just say stop. You resign to do that. You retire from that. Okay. I'll use some other words. But the bottom line is you stopped. No more. We're not doing that anymore, right? All right. I hope that this was helpful in some way. You are a winner even when you quit. Lord willing, I will be back here again next week. Doing this again with whatever the Lord leads me to do. Take care, everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye-bye.